Okay, morning and welcome. I hope that all of you love poetry, and here we have a very special poet with different talents, but they meet each other to one thing: creativity and their dedication to the well-being of humanity or society. But first of all, they've traveled very far, literally and literally, and I hope we are going to swim in their lyrics. So, welcome again. I will start with Iryna. Welcome. Tell me, you're a poet, translator, and tell me your work. Can you talk about a little bit deeply about your work, what you do exactly?
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for your questions. I feel humbled to share a little bit about my recent poetical work because someone asked me today, so you're only a poet, what is your day looks like, what else do you do? But I don't think poets can only be poets, maybe only just few of us, so we wear usually many hats. But what I love about literature festivals and poetry events is that at this place, at this moment, we get to be 100% poets, and this is beautiful. So thank you so much for the organizers and for the team and for everyone who put it all together, and for the audience, of course, because without audience, it does not work. So my most recent poetry collection is titled Algometry. You will ask, what is that word? Algometry translates as measurement of pain. Actually, it exists in neurology, in medicine as a term, but I borrow it from a title of a space experiment which was conducted on the International Space Station, titled Algometry. So the experiment was that with a special gadget, they measured the reception of pain, the sensitivity to pain of the same person, an astronaut or several astronauts, here on Earth, and then when they were up there in space at the space station. And the scientists discovered that here on Earth we endure pain with much more intensity than outside Earth. So my poems, they are about different aspects of life, but what unites them is this reflection of how pain makes us human. I also refer to Samuel Beckett's quote, who said, "We are on Earth, there is no cure for that." And it's just basically reflection on what is being human. So the first part is very formative. It's about what kind of pains shape us into grown-ups we are. Second chapter is about the pain which unites us, about empathy, global empathy, about how small the world is nowadays and how we are all connected. And the third part is rather lyrical, and I guess the main question there is that we, in order to welcome something new, new love, we should let go of all things. We should choose of which things we let go. And this is my probably most philosophical reflection of everything that I wrote so far. But I think this pain, and everyone endures pain. Everyone knows what it is, but it's not pain in terms of like suffering or complaining or physical pain. It's about sensitivity to the world, sensitivity to each other, and what makes us human.
Thank you. Ernis, you you are a poet, but more on slam. Yeah. So today I'm gonna make this whole house break on your powerful word. Yeah. So tell us about your trajectoire, I can say, with slam poetry.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to speak English so that I can get to the bottom of my idea. Luckily, Raïs is here to translate me. Donc, je suis poète, comme Raïs l'a dit. J'écris aussi le roman. Mais j'ai embrassé la poésie dans une situation un peu particulière.
Yeah. Hello. I mean, I'm a poet, as Raïs said previously, and yeah, but I did embrace poetry in a particular time.
J'ai grandi dans une société où les femmes n'avaient pas beaucoup droit à la parole. Elles existaient, mais on disait toujours qu'une femme qui parle beaucoup ne va pas trouver le mal.
I grew up in a society where women didn't have a lot of to say, no word actually. We had even a saying that a woman who speaks a lot will never marry.
Et donc j'écrivais beaucoup pour me cacher. Je me cachais chez moi pour écrire. J'avais un grand-père qui m'a enseigné. Je volais ses livres pour me lire et je m'écrivais pour me cacher pour qu'on ne parle pas dessus. Pour qu'on ne me dise pas que je parle beaucoup.
What I used to do, I used to hide to write and read because I had a grandfather who was a teacher, and I used to steal his book and read while hiding, so that they will not punish me, tell me that I talk a lot.
Et donc quand je suis arrivée à l'université, j'avais 17 ans, j'ai connu d'autres problèmes, j'ai découvert un peu la situation politique de mon pays et surtout j'ai découvert que beaucoup de jeunes allaient vers l'Europe de façon clandestine et ça m'a beaucoup touchée.
And when I reached university at 17, and I get to know that there were a lot of issues, especially the youth trying to immigrate, going to Europe through the Mediterranean and losing their lives, and that affected me a lot.
Et là, j'ai écrit un texte.
And
j'ai écrit un recueil de poèmes qui, bien qu'il ait gagné un prix littéraire dans mon pays, n'était pas beaucoup lu parce que les gens ne vendent pas beaucoup dans le livre.
And then I wrote a poetry collection that won a prize in my country, but it was not well known, and not many people did read, because actually in my country there's not that a strong culture of reading. Yeah.
Et j'ai décidé de slammer désormais, c'est-à-dire librement je sortais dans des bars, dans des cafés, je partageais ma poésie avec tout le monde, au moins je peux la donner à n'importe qui.
And then I rebelliously started to do slam poetry. I went to bars, cafes, and just reciting my word so that I can reach everyone and everywhere. Thank you.
Bravo.
Kateryna. So, yeah, tell me, what's we have to know?
Morning. Just as well as yesterday, I'm super happy to be here and with these great authors. What you need to know about me and poetry. I write a lot of different things. I write prose, theater plays, books for children, but I come from Ukraine, and I can assure you that Ukrainian language is perfect for writing poetry.
And no other language suits for poetry as well as Ukrainian. Because due to the complexity of the grammar structure, the language is super flexible. You can play a lot, not only with senses and double senses. You can play with the rhymes, you can play with the rhythms, you can play with the inner meters, which gives you such a rich possibilities of creating the atmosphere and the feeling and the sense, not only by words, but with the flow of the sound, with the vowels, with assonances and different other tricks that writers know everything about. So of course I do write poetry. If you will allow, I would like to read something in Ukrainian, either now or later. What you say?
Don't worry. Don't worry, we are coming to that. I know that everyone is waiting to listen to some really powerful word. I'm sure you will listen, you will hear, and probably you will participate. You will participate and you will sing and read with us. Yes? Don't be shy soon. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah, I'm doing it. Okay.
Thank you, Raïs. Thank you for being here. I'm very happy to share again a bit of my work with you. So I come from Angola and I live in Portugal. So I came into poetry mostly to express the reality of people like me that grew up in a diasporical context. And I was very touched by Ernis when she said that she took a poetry to cafes and everywhere so that people could listen to what she had to say. So similarly to what happens to women, people of minority groups, they don't have a voice, you know, their voices are really not well received in lots of places, or sometimes we think they are not. So I have an association which is called Afro Association, Afro meaning people from the African diaspora, and Lis meaning Lisboa, which is the capital of Portugal, where I used to live and where I started this project now. So with this organization, Afro Lis, what I did was to organize different venues where people from African descent could also bring their stories through poetry. And this group was called Gidiu. Gidiu is an African word. It's the equivalent to griot, which is a storyteller. So Gidiu is from the Creole from Guinea-Bissau, which is also a country which was colonized by the Portuguese. So we decided that our group was going to be called Gidiu, so we were the griots. And our movement went on for 1 year where we...
І поверни. Світ без війни. І мені, і кожному. Світ без війни. Не питай мене, як я? Спитай мене щось просте. Подивися, моє волосся тепер так швидко росте, ніби має окрему, цілком конкретну мету. Коли все це скінчиться, я ним тебе оплету. Не кажи мені, як ти. Щось легше, скажи мені. Адже кожен, навіть найменший камінь у цій війні обернувся на зброю, щоб боронити своє. Не кажи мені, як це, бо ж це все, що у тебе є. Коли дзвін б'є на сполох, ударна хвиля під тих, навіть мертві з землі цієї встають за своїх живих, і як вони виють тоскно голосами нічних сирен, не кажи мені, бо для такого навіть немає імен. Бо для такого немає ні часу, ні місця, ані вимірів, ані сфер. Але все одно відбувається просто тут і тепер, серед затишних ринків, шкільних дворів, приміських забудов. І все, що після такого може зцілити, то хіба любов. Любов зможе стулити докупи розчахнуті ран країн. Зможе живити собою потужні ріки та ручаї, зможе змити наругу, оплакати щедро кожну пролиту кров. Але поки це все не скінчиться, не кажи мені про любов краще, допоки зблизькі нічні змінює передранкове синь, взагалі нічого не кажи мені. Відпочинь. Now you can open your eyes and I will read the English translations. Take me, carry me, little bird, take me there, where our glance is bright and our voices are clear, are yet unconquered by fires of endless heart. Take me, carry me there, my little bird, where butterflies flit in bustling leaves, where those we loved continue still to breathe. Take me, grey wolf, carry me off to where the nights are not yet tied black knots, where the forest never sprung from the freshly dug graves, where ashes of cities never swirled in a silver haze. Take me, warm wall, take me and run to where everything I dread has not yet begun. Take me, river, carry me, water, take me, stream. Save me from time from which no one can flee. Take me, wind, my brother, strong and kind. Carry me, wind, carry me back in time. But the wolf's tracks are lost in last year's grass, and the shadows of birds no longer circle over the cross, and the wind in the graves dives down, falls its wings, and dark rivers cannot flow back to their springs. But still, righteous God, bring back that world, the world before the war, for me and for all. And the second one. Don't ask me how I am. Ask me something simple. Look how quickly my hair grows now. It seems to have its own special goal. When this all is over, I'll braid it around you. Don't tell me how you are. Tell me something easier. Even the smallest stone has turned into a weapon to defend its own in this war. Don't say how this can be true, because that is all you have. When the bell rings in warning and the shock wave takes your breath away, here even the dead rise up from the ground to defend the living. Oh, how they wail with longing like sirens in night. Don't tell to me, because there is no word to describe it. There is no time, no place, no dimension, no sphere. It all simply happens just here and now in quiet markets, schoolyards, suburban buildings. After all this, what can cure us? Maybe it's love. Love can bring together the ripped edges of the wounds. It can feed the powerful rivers and streams. It can wash away the abuse, properly mourn all the split blood. But until all this is over, don't even talk to me of love. Till the pale light of early dawn replaces the flashes of dark night, better don't say anything to me at all. Just rest.
Kema kema o, kema kema o, o kema kema o, kema kema o, kema kema o, kema kema, kema kema o, kema kema. Carla.
Em português, vapor. É o vapor. É o vapor da quentura evaporada em vidas desperdiçadas. É o vapor. É o vapor da arma apontada para o canto mais criativo da tua mente. É o sentir. É o sentir da avareza do sentimento aqui, bem no meio do peito. É o sentir da bala invisível que arde em vidas coletivas ameaçadas, assaltadas desde o momento da concepção. É o coletivo enfraquecido com a falta de perspectiva de união. Bairros entupidos de mim, de nós. Vozes abafadas num grito do não. Não nos vão calar. Gritamos no abismo de uma indiferença ecoante. Não nos vão matar. Gritamos ao som de balas ensurdecedoras da compaixão e volatizamos. Volatizamos pelos corredores apertados, úmidos e vigiados por capatazes disfarçados de autoridade. É o vapor. É o vapor que se esvai em vidas não vividas de nós. Somos vapor.
So, yeah, before we proceed, I would like by seeing all your work, I did write a question that actually for all of you before we go into the other side and come back again for some reading. So I understand that language is both a tool and a background for you. Your work resists erasure by asserting where you come from your case, Ukrainian, Cameroon, Ukraine, Portugal, diaspora, yeah. You reclaim colonial languages through slam for you. Carla, you sought a marginalized Afro-diasporic voice. Okay, can you share a moment where language failed you? Or, yeah, or failed you, language, yeah, failed you, or a moment when it became a weapon for you?
I can start with this because I already have the answer from my experience. So I've been speaking and writing this and that in English, using it in work very actively for a long time. But poetry is written with the heart. It comes from the very core view. So I always thought that I would only write in Ukrainian, in my language. But when the full-scale invasion, full-scale war started in my home country, it was shock for everyone, of course, and it's quite a traumatic experience at that moment especially. But from the very first days, I started writing poetry in English. Suddenly, I felt that it makes no sense to write addressing my people about what is happening to them. But on the other way, I have to speak to the world about what is happening to my people. And this is where I suddenly just, poems, they come to me. I don't know, maybe everyone can share experience with writing poetry as well, but the poems just started coming in English. And the first poem I wrote, it was very clearly announced to all my foreign friends, who knew, of course, because all the world media were writing about what was going to happen. The tension was unbearable, and the first poem I wrote 3 days before the invasion. And I published it on my social media, I sent it to the friends who've been asking, who were writing to me, just take your family out of the country, like what is happening, and so on. And I did not have these answers, nobody had the answers. But through poetry, I somehow managed to put together this answer, and I felt not relieved, of course, but I felt probably empowered to get a new weapon and my way to deal with this situation. So maybe I just read one of these very first poems that I wrote during that time, originally written in English. But the title is Watch from a Distance. A war is a very productive state for a poet. Gives many new motives to write. Not a distant, impartial war. You need enemies in your country, missiles that hit your home, friends who become refugees, your family members in shelters. Eating your soul, taking your tears, costing your nerves cord tight. You need shelling of civilian people, gunfire on evacuating families, a bomb on a kindergarten. A war is a very productive state for a poet. Watching from the distance. Still so many new motives to write. Anger and love, weakness and strength, adrenaline rushing, unity, strength, animalistic fear. Not least, helplessness.
Merci Raïs. Il faut dire que je suis issue d'une culture francophone. Peut-être je dois te donner le micro.
Yeah, I must say that I'm from francophone culture.
Et dès le début, mes rapports avec le français n'étaient pas très bons. Il faut savoir que le français, c'est la langue de travail et c'est aussi la langue de l'éducation.
The beginning, my relation with French was not that good, but you have to understand that French is the language for work and it's also the administrative language.
Parce que ma langue maternelle, on l'a parlé au village, mais une fois que je rentrais de l'école, je ne pouvais pas traduire exactement ce que j'ai entendu à l'école à ma grand-mère en langue, parce que j'ai grandi avec ma grand-mère et mon arrière-grand-mère.
I grew up with my grandmother and my grandmother, and most of the time when I used to come back from the school, I couldn't translate what I've learned because we used to speak my mother tongue in the village.
Mais quand j'ai appris l'histoire de la colonisation, j'ai compris que en fait la communauté francophone aujourd'hui était très large. Et surtout quand j'ai voyagé, je suis allée en France et j'ai vu que la langue française pourrait plutôt me servir comme un outil pour faire passer ce que je connais. Et il y a un écrivain qui disait la langue française est notre butin de guerre. Et j'ai adhéré entièrement à ça.
There is a writer who used to say that actually the French language is our spoil of war, and I did adhere for it. And I understood by learning about colonization that actually I could reach a large public. Yeah.
Et il faut le dire, aujourd'hui, comme je l'ai dit, mes rapports avec le français se sont beaucoup améliorés. J'en suis arrivée même à aimer parce que vous savez, je ne parle là que du français. C'est la langue que j'utilise, que beaucoup de pays africains utilisent. Mais les francophones ne se limitent pas que du français parlé en France. Les francophones enrichissent chaque jour. Il y a beaucoup de mots français aujourd'hui issus des langues africaines.
So French is not only French from Paris or France, because there is many people who speak French in the world, and especially in Africa. And those people, there is a lot of new word from African language arising, coming and coming into French and enriching it.
Et pour moi aujourd'hui, je perçois la langue pas comme quelque chose caché dans le marbre. La langue est un mouvement qui évolue avec le temps, qui évolue avec les personnes.
And now I understand language, the language like something alive and movement that evolue with people and with time.
Et dans mon art, j'ai bien gardé ma langue maternelle que je parle tout le temps. J'écris en français, mais je peux le dire sans avoir peur. Je pense à ma langue maternelle et souvent quand le mot ne vient pas en français, je l'écris dans mon livre en langue maternelle. Parce que j'ai quand même compris que dans les langues, il n'y a parfois pas de synonyme parfait. Il y a des mots approximatifs et tellement je respecte les langues que quand je ne trouve pas un mot qui dit exactement ce que je veux dire, je le retranscris dans cette langue-là.
But you have to understand that I do speak French, I do write in French, but I have my mother tongue. And most of the time when I write in French, and I don't find that approximatively a translation for a word, because I do think in my mother tongue, so I do write it in my mother tongue, as long as I don't find approximative translation from the word I'm thinking about.
C'est vrai que de temps en temps, en tant que personne africaine, par exemple quand je vais dans des conférences, comme ça on me demande « mais tu viens d'où ?» Je dis « je représente le Cameroun et la France ». Les gens me disent « mais non, quand on te voit, tu es africaine, comment tu peux représenter la France ?» Mais aujourd'hui, moi j'ai envie de dire « l'art n'a pas besoin de la langue ». Pour moi, il y a l'art, il y a la philosophie, il y a l'amour qui sont des langages compris par tous.
où on écrit dans une langue, par exemple le slam, il se dit dans une langue, mais parfois ce qui est plus important, ce ne sont pas tellement les mots qu'on dit, parfois c'est le sentiment, c'est la connexion qu'on arrive à faire avec l'autre, et pour moi, l'art va tellement au-delà de la langue.
Yeah. I'm invited in different conferences, and sometimes I do represent two nations, which is Cameroon and France. And most of the time, people don't look at me and say, "Oh no, but you are African, how can you represent France?" But my point is that art doesn't have the limitation of territorial limitation. C'est ça, hein?
C'est ça. Donc pour conclure tout, aujourd'hui je suis parfaite. Question langue, je suis parfaitement d'accord avec toutes les langues et je le dis aujourd'hui, je suis francophone sans qu'il n'y ait de quiproquo. Voilà.
Yeah, so I'm proud to be francophone and so without any shame. So that's what if for those that were in the first session, I did say something about languages, you know. Actually I forgot what I wanted to say, but it was very interesting. You said it, sorry.
Just as Iryna did, I'm going to tell a story about the war. I used to live in different countries. I used to teach in the United States. I used to live in Paris for some time. I worked as a journalist a lot, and I wrote sometimes in English, not only like the journalistical stuff, but also short stories and poems. However, and of course, when the full-scale invasion, like the full-scale war, started in Ukraine, a lot of international media started reaching out to me, asking for comments about what is going on, asking for telling my personal story, because I had back then a very small child, 1 year old, and we have made a 4-day trip in winter by car, avoiding the dangerous spots to get out of the country. And I found out that I was lacking the vocabulary to speak of those things. First I thought that that was because my English and my Polish were not good enough. And then I realized that I'm lacking the vocabulary to describe these awful, impossible things that are happening in my country, even in my own language. So maybe opposite to Iryna's experience, I focused on writing in Ukrainian and talking to my people, because what poet can really give to people under complicated circumstances is first the language, the words, to talk about that. Not even to talk about that, to think about that. Because when you are able to formulate what's going on with you, to name the things that you feel, like fear, helplessness, injustice, then you can deal with those awful feelings easier. That validates your feelings and gives you a little bit of strength to move on. So that's what I'm focusing on, trying to give the metaphors, to give the language, to give the words, to understand those impossible things that war brings in people's life. That's my weapon.
I first realized that language was failing me after being living in Germany for sort of like 6 years, where I noticed where people were always asking me, where are you from, where are you from? And I didn't have resources. Because I grew up in Portugal, but I was born in Angola, but I didn't feel Angolan, and I didn't feel Portuguese. And sometimes I would answer that I was Portuguese, and people would, make more questions. And I didn't really have the resources to explain my experience. Huh? So after 6 years living in Germany, I decided to go back to Portugal and try to figure it out, Try to ask other people. That's why I created the podcast Afro Liege, where I focused on people with African descent living in Lisbon. I was looking for a vocabulary to talk about our experience, And if you notice, for instance, in the US, people talk about or have referred to black people along the centuries in different ways. There was the Negro, there was the N-word, there was people of African descent, there's African Americans. In Brazil, they have a similar experience. They have lots of words to describe black people in different periods of their history. In Portugal, we didn't have that. Either we had African, where people that were born in Portugal didn't really fit in, or they had the offensive word. So in that period where I started my podcast with the Afro-Lige, we were discussing this, and I noticed that other black people didn't have the resources. They didn't know how to speak about themselves either. They were always like, oh, I'm a Luso, whatever, but they were born there, and they were very confused. So I think it's that moment where I realized that language was failing me, and sometimes you have to, language has a lot to do with the history that you're living in at the time, or the history that you want to build at the time as well. You want to participate. And this is one of the things that people as artists, I think, have to contribute as well, like starting discussions and exploring, and not saying that we are the responsibles for the outcomes, but saying that we can initiate discussions that will bring out other outcomes.
Okay, so I would love you, the public, now to ask a question to our poet here, if you have one. So, yep.
I would like to hear one poem of each of you in your own language. Not in English.
Missed it. Yeah, we already.
In our own language.
Okay. If anybody wants to, maybe some latecomers like me. Maybe.
Yes.
I'm sorry for that.
No, it's okay. It's good. It's fine.
My own language is called Gembo, and if you take my book, you can see many words in my own language. So I'm going to say a short poem in my own language. Ashore singole Ernis. Mfone mganga, mbinge fone mganga mpu, awo mganga, ngomgala mfuo, ngomgala rapie, polaye mganga. Ashore singole Ernis. Mbinge pu, bunenge na bok. Mbinge pu, ngo epugame song, mbinge pu, ngo rapie, polaye mganga, mpobe Muslim. Ashore singole Ernis. Gembo, one of the 200 languages in Cameroon.
Ukrainian. Це мої поля і мої сади. Це мої фортеці вдалині, мої пасовиська біля води і мої рибини на глибині. При дорозі яблуня і айва, зеленіє хміль, зріє виноград, все моє. Трава у траві мишва, над нею мат польових бригад. Мій чумацький шлях, в могилах прах, 47 чудес. Всі АЕС і ГЕС, дим вогнів в лісах і кадил в церквах, і туман увесь. І зозель, і плес. Це мої комбайни і трактори. Фабрик, чорний піт, лихоманка, жнив, сутінки зійдуть на мої двори, і мої жінки заведуть там спів. Це мої кордони і наркота. Це мої наливки і самогон, це мої сини в теплих животах достигають в мріях про закордон. Мої божевільні від дня до дня восхваляють Господове ім'я, це моя країна. І вся хуйня в цій країні також лише моя. То чого ж ти хочеш, безжальний світ? Що ж мене висмоктуєш у журбі, я і певний брід, і смачний обід, і жінок, і рибу віддав тобі. Розтисни кулак, напрямок чи знак, проміняй на все неземне і земне, де ховаєш ту, котра просто так, без мого всього, прийме мене.
I'm going to read in Portuguese. Amor é olhar e reconhecer. Olhar olhos nos olhos e dizer: eu vejo-te, eu vejo. Vejo-te com todas as tuas imperfeições, que são também as minhas. Vejo-te com todas as tuas virtudes, que revelam as minhas. Amar é dizer: eu reconheço-te, meu, minha. Amar é viver e dar vida, inspirar e inspirar confiança. Mas como posso eu amar-te, se os nossos olhos não se cruzam? Como posso eu amar-te, se tudo o que vejo em ti é a dor de mim? Sim, agora percebo porque não te amo. O espelho.
Queima, queima, oh, queima, queima, oh. Oh, queima, queima, oh, queima, queima, oh. Hey, queima, queima, oh, queima, queima, oh. Another question?
I have questions from Iryna and Kateryna ma'am. How has poetry responded to the refugee crisis caused by geopolitical conflicts in Ukraine?
It's not a political conflict, it's a war. We've been attacked, invaded by different countries. Poetry does respond to the refugee crisis, as a lot of people found themselves like me, outside of the country. I left. I have a little child, and I didn't feel like endangering her in Ukraine. And my heart bleeds literally every day. I long to be home, and I can't go back because of the war. And there are a lot of scenes written about that, and there are more scenes coming. But I think what's more important, and what we tend to speak about more, is not of those people who became refugees, though this is tragic destiny. Believe me, you don't want this. You don't want to be a refugee, even if you are wealthy, you are doing well, you can find a proper place in a different country, still you don't want that. But there are a lot of people who stayed in Ukraine, a lot of young poets, gifted writers, who stayed there and who died. And this is something Ukrainian literature lost forever. Those are the people who were to write ingenious things, and they won't be able to do this. So this unexisted poetry, empty place of those people, I think, is more important for us now than the voices of refugees. But thank you very much for the question anyway.
It's also a very hard question to answer. Not because we don't know what is happening, but because it's very hard to talk about such things. But we have to. Ukrainian war poetry is a very powerful poetry. The way language has become a tool, has become a refuge for so many people, for their sufferings, for their raw emotions, for their longing for home, for their loss, for the fear, because it's the fear when there are explosions outside your home and the house is shaking. It's animalistic fear. It's very deep, and I would expect that it would take away my language. But there are so many good war poets who found the words, who found the way, and I think Ukrainian war poetry is a great phenomenon in general when it comes to this. But the price is huge. It's cosmic, and I don't wish anyone to have experience of this. I also think about a dear friend, Victoria Marina, who was a writer, a very talented writer. I was joking with her that you are the only real writer, authentic writer that I know. She was so deep, she was a natural, as we would say. She published 2 novels, and she would have published many more. With the war, she also started writing poetry, but it was only published posthumously because she was killed in an explosion caused by a Russian missile. So what the war is doing to Ukrainian poetry, it's killing its poets.
A question?
What is a good poetry according to each of you?
I would like just, before they respond to your question, I would just like to complete something. I would love to say, because I've also experienced war, and my country is in war. My origin is the Republic Democratic of Congo, and now we are talking now. There is massacres, people dying on the street. Yeah. So the thing is that I tend to do a difference between poetry during wartime and war poetry. For me, war poetry is something else. That's why I talk about peace poetry, because this peace it has become a very, very dear thing. People don't talk anymore about peace. People are talking about war is war. People don't talk anymore to each other. And we don't find any issue because we have forgotten that word, peace. So I try to concentrate myself to that word, peace poetry. But of course, I know about poetry in time of war because I've written some of my poetry and that period. So it's not war poetry. It's something about hope, something about, about hope. Because when we lose hope, so that we don't see any future. And in that way, we will sing a small song, I will teach you a small song, another song about hope, so that we plant the love of life instead of love of death most of the time. Peace is about life. War is about death. It's about love of death. We don't need to promote that love of death according to me. So it goes like that. It's actually a revolutionary song, but a song of hope. It goes like that. Ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, kululu, kululu, kululu etu. Can we? Ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, kululu, kululu, kululu etu. Okay. Ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, kululu, kululu, kululu etu. Okay. What's your question again?
What is a good poetry according to each of you?
Good poetry is honest, beautiful, painful sometimes, and it always gives you hope.
I normally say art is the good, something that we can call art is something that can withstand the trials of time, like if you read it in different periods of your life, in different centuries, in different cultures, and you still spark something in the human nature, I would say that it's good.
La bonne poésie pour moi c'est la sincérité, c'est tout ce qu'il y a de sincère. La bonne poésie pour moi c'est toujours pas dans les mots, c'est dans tout ce qu'on trouve, tout ce qu'on rencontre d'original, tout ce qui s'offre au monde, une chose qui s'offre au monde telle qu'elle est, sans besoin de maquillage.
The best poem for me is the originality, the genuine one. Everything that come out without any
without filter.
Yeah, without makeup. Yes. Yeah, and something sincere.
Thank you. So I have one poem which I consider a good poem because it can change the weather. I mean, every time I read it at the festival, something happens to the weather. Either it starts raining, or it stops raining, or the sun comes out, or the other way. So I don't know if it will work. If it doesn't, oh, it's happening. You see, that's the poem. Okay, that's the poem. Okay, now thank you. I know. I would be ashamed if nothing would happen, and you would have to think that it's a bad poem. Anyway, it's titled "The Sky." Wherever you go, the sky will be with you. Wherever you hide, it will be your last hideaway. Whatever happens, the sky will be with you. You can leave the shore and take the sea road. You can leave the sea and fly high in the air. The sky will be with you. So out of all maps, study the map of the sky. Its breathing patterns the movement of its diaphragm, burning and round. Hold the sky by its hand. You are on its leash, made of invisible impulses. It's your last ceiling with eternal light bulbs in it. Hold the sky by its hand and it will never leave you. It dictates time, splits it into day and night. They say there is paradise up in the sky, but it's not the point.
Just to complete to your question, you have to understand that the fact already of being seated here together, that is poetic, is very poetic. Life itself is poetic, is a poetic act. Existence itself is poetic. Yeah. So we tend to complain when it's cold, it's too cold. When it's warm, it's too warm. But everything that goes, life itself is very poetic. So you find poetry in everything. Everything that vibrates is poetic. Creation itself, how we came to exist, whatever theory, if it's a Big Bang, that is very poetic. If it's a God fashioning someone, it's poetic. Imagine a lot of that act of existing as an act of infinite love, I can say. And poetry is that. It can be sad, it can be joyful, but still an act of love, and it's very poetic. So, for that, I'll also read one of mine. Ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, kululu, kululu, kululu etu, wake up man, etu, ambane tu kululu etu, ambane tu kululu etu, kululu, kululu, kululu etu. Queima, queima, oh, queima, queima, oh. Queima, queima, oh, queima, queima, oh. Oh, queima, queima, oh, queima, queima. Oh, queima, queima, oh, queima, queima, oh. Queima, queima, queima. Yes. It is water, it is air, and it is also ether. It is the wind, it is the rain, it's also winter. It is night, it is darkness, it is also dawn. It's waiting, and love when you tell me again. It's tomorrow, it is today, it is also yesterday. It's that scream, it is the noise, it's also hell. It is everything, it is nothing. It is also space. It is especially when you leave and I lose face. It is no, it is yes. It is also do I. It is time, it is boredom, it is also dread. It is the king, he is the price, he is also the plebe. It is singing, it is fear, and it's like being weak. It is the salt, it is the wave, and it is also the sea. It's sand, it's thirst, it's also the desire. It's fear, it's death, it's also life. It is the tears and the laughter, and it is above all the envy. It is the mother, it is the child, it is also the heart. It is the weight, it is the bird, and it is also the flower. He is the friend, he is the lover, he is also the wife. It is you, it's me, and it's like a scale. Thank you. Kema, 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 kema. Oh, kema, 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 kema. Oh, kema, 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 kema. Another question in the public?
How do you think AI is going to impact the world of books and poems?
Yeah.
We didn't.
Artificial intelligence, things like ChatGPT and all, how is it going to impact?
Someone, can I take it? Yeah. I think, yeah. Personally, I'm quite afraid of AI, not only for poetry, but also for creativity. Because then things are not that... the writing or the poetry can sound probably good, but still, I would put forward the human creativity, the effort we put in forging our thoughts. Because that's just, it's a long process. It's almost like trying to forge, iron. So you need to put it on fire. That's a process of creativity in our brain. AI can be good for development, for many things, trying to find solutions, but that is according to me. That may kill human ingenuity and creativity, because we have been living here for a long, long time, and we are even in our weakness, we have all the time we find a way out of the hole we are in. So I think then for me, we need to be careful about what we are creating. Someone else?
I hope that we can use it intelligently, humanly intelligently. But I think that it's always going to need a human being to help AI to transform poetry in real poetry. That's my hope. That's my hope.
So I think, thank you again. So if there is another question, we can take another question before we take the last reading. Probably, yes, we do that. Everyone can read one poem before we finish, but we need two questions, for example, if there is. Yes?
My question is for everyone. That is, when you are writing a poem or composing a poem, you have some feeling. But when a reader reads it, sometimes it feels from different perspective. So what is your expectation when you are composing a poem? Whether you think they can catch your feel or not? So that's my question.
You want to start with that?
Is it about the readers?
Yeah. What's your expectation when you...
So you can write poetry differently, right? You can write it having your reader in mind, right? But I think the more authentic poetry follows this concept worded by famous German poet of the 20th century, Paul Celan. He said that a poem is a letter in the bottle. You put your letter in the bottle, you send it in the ocean, and you never know who is going to find it and who is going to read it. So you just let it go. I think that's the way how it works, and then the right person will find it.
Moi, qu'est-ce que j'attends de mon lecteur, de mes lecteurs?
En fait, quand j'écris, pour moi, je dis l'écriture n'a de sens que lorsqu'elle est partagée.
When I'm writing, I do think that deeply that it makes sense when I can share my writing with someone.
Et donc, ce que j'attends de mon lecteur, pas de tous mes lecteurs, parce qu'il n'y a personne nulle part qui attend que quelque chose que je vais écrire qui va changer le monde. Mais quand j'écris, j'espère que mes mots vont trouver quelque part dans le monde une âme qui en a besoin.
Well, what I think, I expect is that when I'm writing, I hope that a soul somewhere in the world will have a use of it.
Donc, comme par le passé, j'écrivais pour me cacher, je me dis, j'écris par solidarité. J'écris pour dire à quelqu'un dans le monde, tu n'es pas seul, il y a quelqu'un quelque part qui vit la même situation que toi.
Like earlier, I used to write for while I'm hidden, but now I'm writing in solidarity with someone to let him know that he's not alone. He's not alone. Yeah, according to me, what I expect, I depend on what I'm writing, the poem I'm writing and to whom I'm writing. There are poems that I write for one person. There are poems that I write for what I feel and what actually affects me directly. And sometimes there's poems that I write. I don't write for, but in general, it's what I write and for who. And sometimes poetry can be like a painting. People can interpret it differently. I've been put in jail for writing a love poem. They thought I'm writing about rebellion. They asked me, it was about two lovers. One, the two birds, the battle of birds, they're there, and then I had to describe which bird I'm talking about. But it was about love, pure love, But actually the intelligence service took time to read my poem, so I was happy to be in jail for a love poem. So it depends on what the people interpret, but anyway, it's most of the time what I think is it's revolutionary. Whatever come up, it's okay.
The actual trick poetry does, why we need poetry in general, poetry and actually all forms of art are transferring emotional experience without having an actual experience. So we all obviously have different circumstances and different perspectives. However, we do it on purpose to transfer the emotional experience. So whatever is good poetry and good art always works. And despite the circumstances and different perspectives, it transfers the same emotional experience, like the basic one that we all share as humans.
Yeah, somebody asked yesterday what poetry did for us, and for me poetry is a companionship. You know, I find a home, I find a place of understanding. So I was about to answer, normally I don't expect people to feel anything, but I think that's the thing. I hope that people find a home, companionship, as I did.
Something to say?
Yeah. I reply.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
So, do you like us to read one poem before we close? Each? Yes? Do you? Kima, 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 kima. Oh, kima, 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 kima. Oh, kima, 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 kima. Oh, kima, 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 kima. Kima, 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 kima.
Assim, sempre fui assim, sempre preservado assim, sempre sendo constante assim, sempre assim renovado foi, sempre o mesmo de sempre, de ontem que é hoje, que foi ontem, que assim amanhã será, sempre assim.
Не забудь також сказати про тих, хто тобі ні в чому не дорогий. Хто тебе не любив або не беріг, хто на берег не допоміг зійти. І також попроси за таких, які називаються пристрасно вороги. І, звичайно, за тих, котрі злі, слабкі, не такі, як хочеться, не як ти. Теж обов'язково за тих скажи, хто у полі, в морі, в саду, в кіно, хто упав, підстрибнув, присів, лежить, хто в садок дитячий вперше йде, хто горить у пеклі, хто пік пиріг, хто купив костюм, хто розбив вікно, хто сказав, що зробить, але не зміг, хто не знав куди чи не бачив де. Краще називай їх на імена, щоб іменам не згубити лік. То, що дотепер все одна, і того, хто нам ремонтує дах, хто щодня паркується як не слід, хто вкладається спати на правий бік, хто збиває взимку зі сходів лід, хто зневажив страх, хто поліг в боях. Над тобою вогник горить нічний, темно у кімнаті і на дворі, ти тепер прозорий, легкий, нічий, менший від комах, тонший від роси. Рушай потік, проростай горіх, долети до того, хто на горі. Не забудь, не схиб. Розкажи про всіх і для всіх однакове попроси. Дякую.
Quand tu viendras chez moi, quand tu viendras chez moi, quand tu viendras chez moi, viens noir, viens blanc, ta différence, je la veux, je la sens, elle me manque. Ta différence, je la veux, je la sens, je ne peux pas vivre sans. Viens avec ton esprit inapaisé, instable. Viens avec ton âme trouble, révolte folle. Viens avec tes pensées rebelles qui me valent. Viens me donner un peu de ta poésie. Viens me donner un peu de ta richesse, un peu de ta grandeur, un peu de ta petitesse. Car au fond, on se ressemble. On est des poètes insatisfaits, des poètes solitaires, des poètes intranquilles. Quand tu viendras chez moi, viens noir, viens blanc. Ta différence, je la veux, je la sens, elle me manque. Ta différence, je la veux, je la sens, je ne peux pas vivre sans. Viens comme tu es, avec tes rêves, mais viens.
A harp player on the subway. How many cities fit inside you? Bridges in your lungs, streetcar lines in your arteries, bypasses around your heart, suburbs on the roof of your mouth. How many moves from one floor to another, up and down, railway stations, you come out and follow your memory. How much space fit inside you, underground passes, stations, street musicians, some of them unforgettable. Remember the harp on the subway? Hold on to its pure sounds, look for them inside you, hold on to the internal light, be a part of the world's capital. Meditate every morning, have a drink each night, stop already, teach yourself to breathe evenly, learn how to run from yourself all over the world. Learn to stop at least at the top, think of the harp inside you, let the external sleep past you, repeat under your breath Rose's mantra and speak to this city. Your sobbing sirens, our music, your tracks, our winds, your subway stations, our home.
Since the day dim low, since the night drags on slow, since the sun lingers, fading low, since the sky shrouded in the shadow, cry with me. Lend me your word, lend me your tears, lend me cries of sorrow, lend me strength, cry with me. Don't tell me that it's life. Don't say it's just how it is. Don't whisper, it will be all right. Don't say, I understand. Just cry with me. Without drying my thoughts, without brightening my grief, without easing my pain, without rocking away my regret. Simply, every last bit of energy with all your heart, with every part of your soul, with every tear you can give bitterly, like mourning a father lost, like grieving for a future sleep, like weeping for the memories, like feeling the emptiness they left behind in us, in our mind. Cry with me, yes, cry with me, cry with me. For the love he left behind, for the joy he carried away, for the happiness he darkened, for the hope he crushed. Has he left without warning? Has he left never to return? Has he left too soon? Yes, cry with me, I say cry with me. For life, he left off home. Without promise of bright days, facing this sorrowful fate, with nothing but false hope at the end of this journey. Cry with me, yes, cry with me, for this unexpected pain, for losing life and youth, for the fruit of his being chasing happiness, drowning in the river, death lost like a lifeless fish. Cry, cry, oh, heavy cry, cry with me, yes, cry with me. Cry, oh heavy heart, for the source of your life, sleeping beneath the veil, taking the riverbank of life and fading away like a cursed star. What compassion, what company could have filled, could have mended this absence growing inside us? Yes, cry with me, oh, cry with me, yeah. Kema, oh, kema, oh. Oh, kema, kema, kema. Thank you.